So I had sat here for 15 minutes recording a review for Dark Knight Rises. I go to push stop, and I accidentally bumped the back button. And for some fucking reason, if I hit the back button, it doesn't register any of the stuff I've recorded. Samsung, YouTube app, whatever it is, work on something to get that fixed. Because I sat here and recorded something for 15 minutes, and now it's gone. And I have to redo it. Because I bumped the back button trying to stop it. So I had to go over this again. The Dark Knight Rises. I don't think this movie is as bad as people say it is. There are a couple of things that do get me hurt a little bit. Catwoman, not necessary. I think, to me, I remember hearing around the time this movie was coming out that there was talks about Robin, and Christian Bale apparently said that if they introduced Robin into it, he would walk. And that's I don't know if that's official or anything. That's just I remember hearing. So we have Catwoman, who's essentially a Robin character. She's not really a villain in this at all. She's just a side character. At first, she's like an antagonist, but then she's like a sidekick for Batman towards the end. And then the other thing that irks me is one particular little part at the end. You know, you get the end where you get like 3 scenes happening at the same time after Batman carries the bomb in the bat, and that's not supposed to have a autopilot that works. The autopilot doesn't work on that one. And they say that Batman died and Bruce Wayne died in the siege or whatever. And then you get John Blake finding the Batcave, and they say, oh, he's going to be Robin. And then you get earlier in the film where Alfred said that he has a dream where Bruce goes on to a normal life, where Alfred goes to a cafe in France or something, and he's sitting there, and he looks across the way, and Bruce is there with a woman, and they cheer each other, right? So there's at the end, and these 3 intersect, and you see Alfred sit down at the cafe chair, and then it goes to this scene with Lucius Fox being talked to by someone else, and this person tells Lucius Fox that the bat, that whatever it was, that Batman had an autopilot on it. And then it cuts to Alfred, and he looks over. Bruce is there with Selina, and Alfred raises his glass. Bruce raises his glass, and it does the ending of the movie and stuff like that. What I don't think is necessary is the part where the guy tells Lucius Fox that the bat had the autopilot on the bat was fixed months ago or whatever. You don't need that. What you need to do then is take that scene out, and then you have the scene where John Blake finds the Batcave, and he finds it and raises up, and then fade to black, then come back, and you see Alfred sit down at the cafe. He sits there, he's got his drink. He looks up, he sees Bruce. That movie ends. And they leave it up to interpretation, because it could be real, or it could be another one of Alfred's dreams that he's having. You don't know, and you want that kind of mystery. I know they're trying to conclude a trilogy, but leave a little bit of mystery. Leave it open to interpretation. People can have these conversations for years saying, oh, he was really there, he's really alive. No, it was all in Alfred's head, he's a dream. Have them talking about this for years to come, just arguing over whether or not they're right. Don't you think that's a little bit better than being conclusive in the situation? Another thing that I hear talk about, and I forgot to mention this in the other one that I did, so it's a good thing, maybe it's part of a good thing, is the timeline, right? People complain, oh, how did he get back to Gotham so fast? He didn't have a way to get back there so fast. To which I say, it's a fucking movie. Time does not matter in a movie. For all we know, 5 minutes to us could have been 3 hours within that movie. Alright? Just because it looks like it took him no time at all to get back doesn't mean that it did. Alright? It could have taken him a couple days to get back, for all you know. But in a movie, time doesn't matter. Because it's not in real time. So people sitting there and bitching and whining, oh, he came back too quick. For all you know, maybe not. It's a movie. Time doesn't always work right in movies. So you never know. Okay, so let's talk about Bane. I think Tom Hardy has a perfect performance in this. And I think the strongest scene is when he breaks Bruce Wayne's back, leaves him in that pit, and tells him he has to crawl out himself. He's making Bruce prove to himself that he's not... Because at the beginning of this, Bruce is a recluse. He's given up on life. You know, after, you know, at the end of The Dark Knight, they make Batman public enemy #1. So, he's a recluse, and he's got a bad leg for some reason. I don't know. But with Bane breaking his back, throwing him in, put him into the pit, and making him climb back out, is a way for Bruce to prove that he's still the same person he was before all this went down. That he's not a bad person. That he's still a fighter. And eventually he does get there. I guess I'm not talking about how he gets back. I'm not talking about that. But another scene I liked was the Desert Exile scene where you got Crane at the judge's stand or whatever, and he tells Gordon, death or exile. And Gordon says, you're crazy if you think I'm going to willingly walk out there onto ice or whatever. And so Crane says, so it's death then. I sentence you to death by exile. I'm like, yeah, I know Gordon's a good guy, but, you know, words have twisted around. I like that. Now, if Heath Ledger hadn't died, would he have come back for this? I'm sure they would have tried. Would he be needed? I don't know. Channel Awesome did a video, a fanscription video about, or two of them actually, about Joker being in The Dark Knight Rises. And for what they did, they changed a few things, but it worked. But I don't know if it's actually necessary for him to be in there. I think the movie floats fine without the Joker in it. You don't make too many cooks in the kitchen, you know. Batman Forever and Spider-Man 3. You don't want too many villains in your film. And then you get Catwoman, Forever Sees Worth. She does help save the day, but come on. And now the twist. Now, first of all, I'm an idiot because I remember when I first watched it in the theater and they were talking about the heir apparent to Ra's al Ghul, the child of Ra's al Ghul, and they said it was Bane. I'm like, oh, okay, so they're switching it. You know, Bane's going to be his child. I like that. Cool. And then when they did the twist with Marion Cotillard's character, Miranda Tate, where she stabs Batman, I'm like, whoa, what's going on? And then she said her name was Talia al Ghul. I'm like, oh, duh. Of course the heir apparent to the demon's head is going to be Talia al Ghul. Makes sense. And I'm an idiot for not realizing that, first of all. And, yeah. And the twist was fine. They kill off Bane during this, and that's fine. And then the explosion, whatever. Does Miranda die? Or Talia? I think she dies. If she dies, she dies. But, yeah. You know, he saves the day. Explosion. Yeah, and the debt act let's talk about the Dent Act, because I did mention that in the other one. I would kind of put that in here. Now, they have the Dent Act, and for some reason, you know, they cover up. They cover up what Dent did because they think that people are gonna freak out if they find out what he did. Okay, great. So they put this Dent Act, which locks up a lot of prisoners, right? A lot of bad guys are in prison because of this. Now, it comes out at one point in the film what Dent did, Two-Face, whatever Dent did, at the end of the last film. And all of a sudden, just because of that, it means every criminal he put away with this Dent Act is null and void. Which makes no sense to me. Yes, the Dent Act was named after Dent, and it was made after his passing, and because of what he did before he turned. But it shouldn't. But what he did when he turned Two-Face should not affect what this act has done. The Dent Act is different from Harvey Dent himself. Harvey Dent himself had nothing to do with the act. It was made because of his passing. And whether or not he was a good person at the end or a bad person at the end, the Dent Act should still stand. I know they repealed it or whatever, but what Dent did should not affect the Dent Act. That's all I'm saying. But what else can I say about this? How long have I been talking this time? 11 minutes. Okay, pretty good. I guess it's a little bit shorter, but I can say I know I had a little bit of problems with The Dark Knight. I named it all, and this one, you know, has some problems. But I like all three Dark Knight movies. I hold them all in the same regard, so I can't give this anything better than an 8 out of 10, just like the other two 8 out of 10s. So with this, it marks. Well, no, I got Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and that will mark the end of not my review series. But how did I explain it before? It's like a story in a video game, right? You play through the story, and you beat the story, but there's still side missions and stuff that you can do. And that's what this is. Batman 1989 through Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was one storyline that you can do that you do in a video game, think it that way. And then these other movies I'm going to do are side missions and stuff like that. So while Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is going to end the main story, for me, I'm doing that because then I can move on to other stuff, because I got to get ready for December anyway. So yeah, I got a couple other movies I want to do. I think you're gonna at least laugh at one of them, because it's an interesting movie. But and I'm not counting Batman v Superman. That the DCEU stuff is gonna be separate. Eventually I'm gonna do Superman movies, those 5, and then transition from Superman Returns to Man of Steel and go into the DCEU. But then hopefully Joker will be out, and I can do my Joker Revisited and get that done, and I can go from a different view, because I now understand what they were trying to do with that movie, but at the same time, it's not the movie I wanted to see. And I can explain that in my review. But for now, I got Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to do, and then it'll be the end of that story. So, like, share, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments below what you think about The Dark Knight Rises. Love, peace, chicken grease.